Hello, my name is Leland Harasti, and I'd like to show you my audience. And I'd like to show you my note cards. How many of you have ever been to a foreign country where no one spoke English and you had trouble getting directions or trouble ordering food, or you were in a worship service, no one translated for you? I bet it was very frustrating, and I bet it would have been great to have an interpreter there, right? Okay, so interpretation is converting the spoken words of one language into the spoken words of another language. Not to be confused with translation, which is converting the written words of one language into the written words of another language. Why is interpretation important? Because if we're in another country and we don't speak the language, then we cannot do business there, we cannot get adequate health care, we cannot even get justice in the court of law without an interpreter. So I have interpreted for several years. I've interpreted, for example, for the State Secretary of the Foreign Ministry of Hungary, also for Cliff Barrows of the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, when he was the Master of Ceremonies, when Billy Graham visited Hungary and preached for the first time in a public stadium before 110,000 people. I am certified by the First District of the capital city of Budapest, Hungary. And I would like to talk today about the different types of interpretation, for example, consecutive and simultaneous interpretation, and also the do's and don'ts of interpretation. I am a medical interpreter, and recently I have started telephone interpreting also. So, the different types of interpretation. We can basically divide interpretation into two types, into consecutive and simultaneous. Consecutive interpretation is when the speaker pauses after one or two sentences and allows the interpreter to interpret what he has said. Simultaneous interpretation is when the speaker continues talking and the interpreter interprets while the speaker is talking. Consecutive interpretation can be used, for example, in the court, for business, in Christian interpretation and medical interpretation. Consecutive interpretation can also be in person or over the telephone. So, I'd like to tell you about the do's and don'ts of interpretation. One must always interpret everything, and no omissions, no deletions. The interpreter is a language shadower. What does this mean? For example, when a patient is in the examining room, the doctor talks to the patient, the interpreter is there, the doctor should address the patient and not the interpreter. The patient should address the doctor and not the interpreter. Also, when the interpreter is interpreting, he should not say, well, he said it hurts right here. The interpreter should say, it hurts here. The interpreter is the voice of the patient or the voice of the doctor. Now, things not to do. Do not let personal opinions influence your interpretation, and also do not use children or relatives. For example, let's say a son is interpreting for the mother, and the doctor asks the mother, well, do you drink any alcohol? And if so, how much? And the mother says, well, I drink 1 liter of liquor a day. The son, trying to protect his mother, might interpret that as, oh, I drink a little wine every now and then. So in conclusion, I think it is necessary to have an interpreter to ensure accurate understanding between two parties. And we went over the different types of interpretation, for example, consecutive and simultaneous. We went over the do's and don'ts of interpretation. And I would like for you, whenever you travel, always insist on having an interpreter. Thank you. And please